SingleDad delivered her groceries. Then she asked, "Will you work for me directly?" Noah Carter never planned to be a delivery driver. But life rarely asked for permission, especially after you lost your wife, your job, and your plans all in 1 year. Now his life was his 7-year-old daughter Emma and a beat-up silver hatchback that rattled every time he turned left. It was 9:42 p.m. when the grocery app pinged, "Priority delivery, Upper East Side luxury residence." Noah sighed, checked the back seat to make sure the groceries were intact, and whispered, "One more stop, then home." The building towered above him like a glass sculpture, sterile and unwelcoming. No doorman, just a quiet buzz of cameras and a polished chrome keypad at the entrance. Noah keyed in the delivery code, the glass door clicked open, and he stepped inside, his sneakers squeaking faintly on the marble floor. The elevator was fast and silent, climbing to the 38th floor with a whisper. When it opened, he stood before a penthouse door, no number, just a black panel beside it. He rang the bell. After a pause, the door opened. Standing there was a woman in her mid-30s, barefoot, hair pulled back into a low, precise bun. She wore a long cashmere sweater over fitted black pants. Her face was sharp-featured, beautiful, but closed like someone who hadn't smiled in a long time. "You're not late," she said. Noah blinked. "Thanks. I think—" She stepped aside. "Come in." He hesitated. Deliveries were usually left at the door, in and out. No entry, no interaction. But something about the quiet behind her, the way she stood alone in that wide, echoing penthouse, made him shift on his feet. "I can just leave it here. I'd prefer you come in." There was no malice in her tone. Just emptiness, as if she was trying to remember how people usually spoke. Noah walked in cautiously. The penthouse was all glass and clean lines, minimalist to the point of discomfort. No clutter, no color, no photos, not even a coat draped over a chair. The only sound was the soft hum of the refrigerator. He set the grocery bags down on the marble counter and reached for his phone to confirm delivery. "Do you like your job?" she asked. Noah looked up. "Sorry. Your job," she said, standing by the window. "Delivering groceries. Do you enjoy it?" He shrugged. "It pays the bills. Gives me time with my daughter." The woman turned slightly, her face still unreadable. "Would you consider working for me directly?" Noah straightened, blinking. "I'm sorry." "What?" She took a slow step forward like the words required effort. "I could use someone reliable. For errands. Help around the apartment. Someone who doesn't need managing. Personal assistant, if you like." Noah gave a cautious laugh. "You don't even know me." "I know enough," she said. "You delivered the order right, on time, without needing to be told twice. That already puts you ahead of most people I've hired." Her tone wasn't flattery, just a matter-of-fact statement, but something about it felt tired, like she'd tried too many times before. Noah hesitated. "Look, I've got a little girl at home. This job works because I control the hours. I can't just take something on without knowing what it is." The woman nodded. "That's reasonable." She walked to the kitchen island, opened a drawer, and pulled out a sleek black business card. She placed it on the counter between them. "Ava Langford," she said. "Call me if you're interested. Well, talk terms, and yes, your daughter would be taken into consideration." That last part made Noah pause. "How did you know I—" She looked at him, calm and cool. "You mentioned her. Just now." He felt foolish for thinking she had done some kind of background check. Still, there was something about her. Precise, yes, but not cold, not really, just guarded. He pocketed the card and nodded once. "He'll think about it." As he turned to leave, she said, "Mr. Carter." He looked back. "I'm not hiring help," she said. "I'm hiring trust." The next morning, Noah poured cereal into Emma's bowl while she built a mountain out of strawberries on top. "Did you work late last night?" she asked, her feet swinging under the table. "Little later than usual," he said, leaning against the counter. "I got a weird job offer." Emma's head popped up. "Better than groceries," he chuckled. "I'd still be helping people. Just one person. It's complicated." Emma eyed him, nose scrunching the way her mother used to when she was deep in thought. "Is it dangerous?" "No." He smiled. "Just rich." Her eyes widened. "Like fancy rich, or owns a private zoo rich?" "Not sure yet," he admitted. "She lives in a penthouse and drinks sparkling water that costs more than my car battery." Emma gasped. "We should definitely say yes." Noah laughed. "Let's not jump just yet. I said I'd call her today. Maybe try it out for a week." Emma stirred her cereal with unnecessary flair. "Does she like kids?" He paused. "I don't think she knows if she does or not. Then she definitely needs us." Noah smiled at his daughter, all heart and mischief. "You want to come with me when I go see her?" Emma nodded eagerly. "It'll be on my best behavior." Noah narrowed his eyes. "Which version is that? The one with please and thank you? And only 2 questions?" He raised an eyebrow. "Only 2? Well, maybe 3. That afternoon, Noah texted the number on Ava's sleek black card. Her response was immediate. "Come by at 5. Bring your daughter. I'd like to meet her." The elevator ride up felt longer this time. Emma clutched his hand tightly, dressed in her business meeting dress, a slightly wrinkled floral number with sparkly sneakers and a plastic purse full of crayons. When the door opened, Ava stood waiting. Same cashmere sweater, same watchful eyes. Emma stepped forward, sticking out her hand like a tiny executive. "Hi, I'm Emma Carter. Im7. I can spell unicorn backwards." Ava blinked. Then, to Noah's surprise, she crouched to Emma's level and shook her hand. "That's very impressive, Miss Carter." Emma grinned. "It's NROCINU if you're wondering." Ava actually smiled, small and unsure, but it was real. They sat for tea, Emma with hot cocoa in a delicate porcelain cup, Ava with something herbal and silent. Noah watched as Emma explored the echoing, underfurnished space, asking polite but curious questions. "Why don't you have pictures? Do you like movies or just silence? Do you have a TV? Or do you just read books with no dragons in them?" Ava answered each one with surprising patience. By the end of the hour, she looked less tense, less sharp, almost curious. When Noah rose to leave, Ava handed him a crisp sheet of paper, a brief outline of what she needed that week. Errands, scheduling, grocery restocking, one-on-one support, high discretion, flexible hours. Compensation that made Noah's eyebrows twitch. Just for a week, she said, eyes lingering on Emma, who was now coloring at the glass coffee table. A trial, Noah agreed. Ava nodded once, but as they stepped back into the elevator, Emma whispered, "Dad, she's not cold." He looked down. "No." Emma shook her head. "She's just lonely. Like a dragon with too many rooms." Noah blinked, and quietly he agreed. Noah arrived Monday morning with a reusable coffee cup in one hand and a folded grocery list in the other. He buzzed the penthouse and waited, expecting the same cool formality. Instead, the door cracked open an inch before he even rang the bell. Ava stood there, still composed, still wrapped in black, but her hair was unbrushed, her eyes rimmed with sleeplessness. "You're early," she murmured. "Just 10 minutes, Noah replied. "I brought coffee. Not sure if you're a latte person or a leave-me-alone person." Ava didn't respond, but she opened the door wider and let him in. He stepped inside and took a slow look around again. Everything was pristine, almost obsessively so. The kitchen counters sparkled. The fruit bowl looked untouched. Not a single thing was out of place. Except Ava. She moved carefully, like someone avoiding invisible lines on the floor. He noticed something else too. None of the windows were open, not even a crack. Heavy blackout curtains remained drawn over the glass walls. No fresh air, no sunlight. Just filtered HVAC hum and the faintest lavender scent. "I can run the errands if you'd like," he said gently. "You just point and list." "I don't leave," she said suddenly. Noah paused mid-step. "Sorry." She turned toward him, not defensive, just matter of fact. "I haven't left the penthouse in almost 5 months. 5 months. Noah didn't know what to say. "I wasn't always like this," she added, eyes drifting past him. "But the last time I went out, someone took my picture in a cafe. 27 media outlets picked it up. 27. All because I looked tired." Noah's voice was quiet. "That doesn't sound like your fault." Ava gave the faintest of shrugs. "I built an empire on being composed. The second I'm not the vulture's circle." She walked to the table, opened her laptop, and began typing something, clearly trying to change the subject. But Noah didn't leave just yet. "You know," he said slowly, "my daughter once locked herself in the closet because she was afraid of a thunderstorm. She didn't want me to know she was scared. Said it would make her look too small." Ava looked up. "What did you do?" "Sat outside the door. Talked about the names of clouds until she came out." Ava's lips twitched, not quite a smile, but close. "And did she?" "Eventually," he said. "Turns out naming something doesn't always fix it. But sometimes it makes the fear smaller." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she closed her laptop. "Groceries," she said softly. "We're out of pears." Noah arrived Friday afternoon with Emma in tow. It was her day off school and she'd insisted on coming along. "I promise I won't touch anything," she declared in the elevator. "Unless it begs me." Noah raised an eyebrow. "Begging furniture?" Emma grinned. "You never know." The penthouse door opened before they knocked. Ava stood there in soft slippers and a gray cardigan, eyebrows slightly raised. "Good afternoon," she said, her voice as level as always. Emma stepped inside like a tiny diplomat. "Hi, Miss Ava. I brought you something." She dug into her backpack and pulled out a pink paper crown made of construction paper and glitter glue. Ava stared. "I made it in art," Emma explained proudly. "Because every castle needs a queen." For the first time, Ava didn't respond with a blank stare or polite nod. Instead, her lips parted just slightly, like the words had caught her off guard. Thank you, Emma." Emma held it up higher. "You don't have to wear it all the time. Just when you're feeling brave." Noah watched quietly, unsure whether to step in. But Ava, to his surprise, reached out and took the crown delicately, like it might disintegrate in her hands. "I haven't worn a crown in a long time," she murmured. Emma looked her over. "Well, you have queen hair. That's a start." A small sound escaped Ava's mouth, a soft, sudden laugh. Not sarcastic, not bitter, a real laugh. The room seemed to shift with it. She pressed a hand to her lips, caught off guard. "I don't remember the last time I did that." Noah gave her a gentle smile. "It suits you." She blinked at him. "Laughing?" "No," he said, being real. For a moment, Ava didn't answer. Then she carefully placed the pink paper crown on the sleek black marble countertop like it was a fragile heirloom. "I suppose I can try it on. Once the staff leaves," she said, lips twitching. Emma grinned. "It's okay. Dad wears one sometimes too. But don't tell anyone." Ava looked over at Noah, and for the first time since they met, her expression wasn't distant or formal. It was soft, human. The cracks in the ice weren't just forming, they were warming from within. Noah had returned to the penthouse early that morning to drop off Ava's dry cleaning. She hadn't answered the door, but the access code she'd given him the day before worked smoothly. He stepped in expecting silence and stillness. Instead, he heard a muffled sound. At first he thought it was the hum of the HVAC again, but then it came again. Sharper. Choked. A soft, ragged breath. A whisper of panic. Noah turned the corner toward the living room. Ava sat on the floor, knees pulled tight to her chest, fingers trembling as they clutched the edge of her oversized sweater. Her phone was discarded nearby, screen glowing with missed calls. Her chest rose and fell too fast, her eyes wide but unfocused. She didn't see him at first. He stopped cold, not wanting to startle her, not wanting to invade something he wasn't meant to witness. But when she finally looked up, her walls weren't just cracked, they were gone. Tears streaked her face. No poise. No control. Just raw fear. Noah. She gasped as if realizing too late he was there. "I'll leave," he said quickly, voice gentle. "Unless you want me to stay." She didn't speak, but her hand moved slightly. A twitch. A pause. He took it as a yes. Without a word, he sat on the opposite side of the room, far enough not to crowd her, close enough not to leave her alone. He didn't ask what happened, didn't offer platitudes or advice. Just sat. The silence was thick, but safe. After several minutes, her breathing slowed. Her fingers relaxed. "I had a meeting scheduled this morning," she whispered. "With my father's board." Noah didn't move. "I canceled. Again. Third time in 2 weeks." She looked at him, cheeks flushed with shame. "They think I'm broken," she said. "And maybe I am." "You're not," he said simply. Her throat bobbed. "You don't know what I used to be like." "No," Noah replied. "But I see who you are now. And you're not broken. You're trying." She let out a shaky laugh. "You say that like it's enough. Some days it is." They sat in silence a while longer. The morning sun crept through the cracks in the curtains, lighting the space around her like gold dust. After a while, she spoke again. "You're not afraid of messy people, are you?" "No," Noah said. "I live with a 7-year-old who once sobbed for 40 minutes because her sandwich was too perfectly shaped." That startled a faint laugh from Ava, quiet but real. And then, like a fragile bird testing its wings, she whispered, "Will you stay just for a little while?" Noah nodded. He didn't look at his watch, didn't check his phone. He just stayed. Later that afternoon, after the quiet had settled and the coffee had gone cold between them, Ava spoke again. She hadn't moved from the couch legs, folded beneath her, a blanket over her lap that Emma had left behind the day before. Noah sat across from her, saying nothing, just letting the silence do its gentle work. "I wasn't always like this," she said. Noah looked up but didn't interrupt. "I used to run 5 meetings a day, fly to 2 cities in 1 weekend, and never flinch on camera. I used to think control was power, and power meant safety." Her eyes were glassy but steady now. "My family owns Blackwood Media. You probably know that." "I've heard the name," Noah said softly. "I was the face of our expansion into Europe," she continued. "Young, fluent, groomed for it. I shook hands with presidents, took questions with no sleep. My father used to say I was born with armor." She paused. Her fingers played with the edge of the blanket. 2 years ago, I went to a charity event in London. It was supposed to be simple speech, dinner, press photos. But there was a man. Her voice dropped brittle now. He was charming, handsome, knew exactly how to say what I needed to hear. For a few months, I believed he saw me, not just the brand. I trusted him." She swallowed hard. Turned out he was selling information to tabloids. Every private message, every room I cried in, every therapy appointment. Published, picked apart, rewritten into something indecent. Noah's face hardened. I'm sorry. I couldn't go outside for weeks. The paparazzi were everywhere. Reporters shouted questions about things they should never have known. Her voice cracked. They called me weak, frigid, a disgrace to the company. I lost a board vote. My father flew in and told me to control the narrative or step down. Noah exhaled slowly, anger simmering behind his calm expression, and stepping down meant vanishing. She nodded. I stopped going out. I changed my number. I installed blackout glass. It was supposed to be temporary. How long ago? 17 months. The weight of the silence that followed was heavy. I'm not afraid of people, she said. I'm afraid of losing whatever's left of me if I go back out there. Noah leaned forward slightly. His voice was low, steady. You're not just surviving, Ava. You're still here. And that counts. She didn't answer, but her eyes locked onto his. It wasn't gratitude, not quite. It was something deeper, the fragile recognition of being seen. Not as a scandal or a broken heiress or a perfect brand, just Ava. By midweek, Ava had begun relying on Noah more than she realized. He kept her world running. The groceries arrived before she noticed they were low. Her unread emails were organized, and her breakfast no longer felt like an obligation. He didn't just work for her. He saw her. So when she arranged a meeting, a discreet one behind the scenes of a high-profile partnership, she assumed he'd come. It was informal, hush-hush. She'd pulled strings, cleared his name from guest lists, even offered a last-minute security badge. It was in every sense a door opening, not just for him, but for them. You'd only need to be there for 3 hours, she said that morning, passing him the event folder. You could make 10 times what you earn in a week. Networking future contracts. This is the kind of opportunity people dream about. Noah glanced at the folder but didn't reach for it. When is it tomorrow? 7 to 10. The Westmont Hotel. His expression tightened. Tomorrow night's Emma's recital. Ava blinked. Can't someone record it? He shook his head. She's playing solo piano for the first time. She asked me to sit in the front row. I told her I would. Ava's brow furrowed. You don't have to be there every time, Noah. This is important. He met her gaze steady and calm. She is too. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Ava opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her fingers drummed against the sleek kitchen counter. This could change your life, she whispered. It already has, Noah said. His voice wasn't proud. Just honest. I took this job to make ends meet. But working for you, being around you and Emma, seeing that, it reminded me that my time is valuable. That she notices how I spend it. If I'm going to teach her anything in this life, it's that she never comes second to ambition. Ava stared at him like he'd spoken in another language. Not because she didn't understand, but because no one had ever chosen love over opportunity in her world, at least not without a price. She lowered her gaze. I see, she said quietly. He nodded once, collected his things, and left the folder on the table. She didn't stop him. But later that night, she sat in the dark, the paper crown still sitting on the windowsill, and for the first time in years, she wondered, what would it have felt like if someone had chosen her like that? The morning after Emma's recital, Ava waited. She told herself she wasn't expecting anything. Not a message, not a thank you, not a recap of what she'd missed. But when the elevator opened at 9:03 a.m., and Noah walked in with his usual calm presence and a coffee in each hand, she nearly exhaled. I brought the fancy roast, he said. The one that smells like expensive shoes. Ava smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. How was the recital? He handed her a cup. She was nervous, played a little fast, but when she finished, she looked straight at my seat and grinned like she'd just won Carnegie Hall. Ava took a sip. You made the right choice. I know, he said gently. She paused, then set her coffee down. I have something to ask you, and you can say no. Noah raised an eyebrow. That's not ominous at all. She picked up a slim black envelope from the counter. Gilt lettering shimmered beneath the pendant light. This Saturday, my father's annual foundation gala. Every board member, partner, and rival will be there, including half the media industry. Noah leaned against the marble island. And you want me to deliver their hors d'oeuvres? I want you to come with me, she said. He blinked. As what? A guest. Ava nodded once. As my guest. No job title, no clipboard. Noah studied her. Why? Her gaze didn't waver. Because I haven't been back to anything like this since before. And if I walk into that ballroom alone, I'm afraid I'll fall apart before I hit the first handshake. He was silent for a long beat. Then softly. That's a big step. Yes. For both of us. Yes. Noah looked down at the invitation. You know what they'll say. Ava exhaled. I stopped caring about what they said. When a man I barely knew stayed on my floor while I couldn't breathe and didn't ask for anything in return. Noah's lips lifted slightly. That man sounds foolish. No, Ava whispered. He sounded real. Silence stretched between them, not awkward, but charged with something unspoken. Then Emma's voice rang from the hallway where she'd been coloring with headphones. Are we going to a party? Can I wear my sparkly boots? Ava blinked. Noah chuckled. I guess we're doing this. She smiled more than just polite this time. There was hope behind it. Yes. We are. The gala shimmered like a glass house, all gold lighting white marble floors and fragile people with sharp smiles. Ava stepped from the car in a midnight blue gown, sleek and minimal. A diamond pin held her hair in place, but her armor was thinner than ever. She didn't walk in alone. Noah, in a tailored black suit borrowed from a friend and polished shoes that still pinched slightly, stood beside her. He didn't fidget, didn't shrink. He was solid, quiet, exactly what Ava needed. Inside, the music swelled. The chatter buzzed like bees in a crystal cage. Champagne flutes clinked, phones clicked. Eyes tracked them before they'd crossed the foyer. And then came the first whisper. Is that her assistant? That's not her usual type. He's not from here, look at the shoes. Ava heard them. Of course she did. She felt their gaze like heat against her back. The curiosity, the judgment, the confusion. But she didn't look away from Noah. He leaned over gently, whispering with a smile. Is this the part where we pretend not to notice the stares? She exhaled. Only if it makes it easier. He gave her that calm, steady nod he always did, the one that somehow made oxygen return to the room. Then came the bolder ones. A woman in gold stepped forward with a strained smile. Ava, darling, I didn't know you were bringing someone. Ava's expression didn't flinch. This is Noah Carter, my guest. The woman's eyes flicked to Noah. He didn't bow, didn't smirk, just offered his hand and said, Nice to meet you, and that calm, grounded normalcy was more disarming than any charm. As they moved deeper into the ballroom, Ava felt the tide shift. The whispers didn't stop, but they changed. He's the one who's been with her lately. I heard she hasn't missed a meeting in weeks. She laughed. Last Tuesday. Laughed in the executive elevator. When they reached the center of the room, Ava hesitated. She looked at the glinting chandeliers, the stage, the eyes watching. Then she turned to Noah. They're going to write headlines tomorrow. Let them, he said quietly. Just tell them I held your bag and said nothing scandalous. That made her laugh real and warm. And that laughter, not the gown, not the wealth, not the whispers, was what made people stare most of all. Because power didn't look like performance anymore. It looked like Ava Blackwood laughing at midnight beside a man who didn't belong in their world, but belonged exactly in hers. The morning after the gala, the media did what it always did. Screens lit up. Headlines bloomed like weeds. Ava's name was everywhere, but not for a scandal. This time, the conversation had changed. Mysterious man at Blackwood Gala, new love, or low-level assistant heiress. Ava Blackwood sparks, rumors with blue-collar companion. Who is Noah Carter? Noah didn't see it until he stepped into the lobby of Ava's building, greeted by the doorman with a nervous half-smile. Sir, someone snapped a photo of you fixing Miss Ava's sleeve. It's on page 6. By the time he reached the penthouse, Ava had already seen everything. But what surprised Noah most wasn't her reaction. It was the fire in her eyes. They called you an errand boy, she said, holding her tablet with a tight grip. And someone leaked your background, your old job, your wife's obituary, Noah. He stiffened. It's fine. They're just digging. They'll move on. No. Her voice was steel. They won't. Not unless I tell them to. He hesitated. Ava. She stood from the kitchen stool, fury simmering just beneath the surface. I let the world define me for too long. I let them write the story. But you stepped into my mess, saw me without the packaging, and never flinched. Her chest rose and fell. You stood by me when I was unraveling. You showed up when my own board wouldn't. If the world can't handle the fact that the man at my side is real honest and a father first, that's their failure, not yours. Noah said nothing, but something in his expression cracked open. The quiet man who had learned to stay in the background to protect his daughter, to keep life simple, hadn't expected someone like her to speak like this. Then Ava picked up her phone and went live. Just her voice, her face, and a truth no press release had ever carried. This is for anyone who thought last night was a stunt. His name is Noah Carter. He is not an employee, not a placeholder, not a prop. He's the reason I stepped back into the world. If that makes you uncomfortable, ask yourself why kindness and character aren't the headlines. I choose people who show up. And if you're looking for drama, you won't find it here. Just something real. The live ended in less than 90 seconds, but it echoed everywhere. Silence filled the room. Noah stared at her. You didn't have to do that. She turned toward him. Yes, I did. Because for the first time in her life, Ava Blackwood wasn't protecting a reputation. She was protecting what mattered. The following Monday, Noah arrived at Ava's penthouse expecting a usual task list, maybe an event debrief, errands, or paperwork from her legal team after the viral storm. What he didn't expect was a leather folder on the counter. Unlabeled. Waiting. Ava stood beside it in soft jeans and a loose sweater, barefoot, her hair tucked behind one ear. No preamble. Just a look. He raised an eyebrow. Should I be nervous? She smiled faintly. Only if you hate surprises. He opened the folder. Noah scanned the contents, a simple contract, elegantly worded but unusually warm. No start date, no expiration, no corporate jargon, just a few lines. Position: personal liaison and advisor, scope: trust. Discretion. Truth. Compensation: stability. Flexibility. Purpose. Clause 1. Must pick up daughter from school by 3:30 p.m. on recital days. Clause 2. Must make coffee exactly how I pretend I don't like it. Clause 3. Must not disappear when things get real. At the bottom, 2 signature lines, hers already signed. His hands paused on the page. This isn't about groceries anymore, he said quietly. No, Ava said. It's about building something. With someone who knows what matters. He looked up. And what exactly is that? Her voice softened. Trust. Safety. A life that's honest. A home that doesn't echo. Noah's chest tightened, not with panic, but with something dangerously close to hope. This is more than a job. It always was, she said. He glanced back down. There was a note tucked beneath the folder in handwriting that was far messier than hers. Emma's. You make my dad smile more than pizza. So I think we all win. A small laugh escaped him. When he looked back at Ava, her eyes weren't guarded anymore. They were open, steady, home. Noah reached for the pen and signed. Not because of the pay, not because of the perks, but because for the first time since his world shattered, someone had drawn up a contract that didn't just offer work. It offered belonging. Ava hadn't been to Brooklyn in years. Not since before the headlines. Not since her life had been measured in press cycles and conference calls, not sticky notes and fridge magnets. So when she stood outside Noah's building a red brick walk-up with rusted mailboxes and chalk drawings on the sidewalk, she hesitated. No security guards, no concierge, no locked elevators, just a buzzer labeled Carter 2B. She pressed it. Emma answered the door in mismatched socks and glitter on her cheeks. You made it, she squealed. Dad said you might not. I almost didn't, Ava admitted, stepping inside. But then I remembered you promised pancakes. Emma beamed. He burns them a little. But they still count. Noah's voice called from the kitchen. They're caramelized, thank you very much. The apartment was tiny, lived in, a small couch overflowing with pillows, paperbacks stacked 2 deep on every shelf. A drawing of a stick figure family labeled me plus dad plus Miss Ava was taped to the fridge like it had always been there. Ava blinked slowly. Her penthouse was bigger than this whole floor, but it had never felt like this. Emma pulled her by the hand to the floor where pancakes were being served picnic style on a fuzzy rug. No tablecloth, no crystal cutlery, just warmth, laughter, life. They ate cross-legged syrup spilling from paper plates, and when Ava dropped her fork and just laughed, not out of politeness, but surprise, Emma giggled like it was the most normal thing in the world. At some point, Ava leaned back against the couch and looked around. A plant leaning sideways in the window, a chipped mug with a cartoon lion, the faint hum of a radiator struggling to keep up with the autumn chill. She could breathe here. Not like the kind of breathing her doctors coached her through. The real kind. The kind you forget about until you have it back. Noah caught her gaze, his plate balanced on his knees. It's not much, he said quietly. But it's ours. Ava shook her head. It's everything. There was a silence. Not awkward, not heavy. Just full. Then Ava said the words she never thought she'd hear from herself. I think I needed this more than you did. Noah smiled. Emma reached out and placed a sticker on Ava's hand, a crooked little star. And for the first time in years, Ava didn't feel like a guest. She felt like family. The next morning, Ava stood by Noah's tiny kitchen window, cradling a chipped mug that read "Number 1 Dad" in fading paint. Noah had gone to walk Emma to school. But Ava had stayed behind, not because she had work, but because she hadn't wanted to leave. The apartment was quiet, still carrying the warmth of pancakes, laughter, and bedtime stories from the night before. On the fridge, Emma's crayon drawing of the 3 of them, Ava, Noah, and herself under a sunny sky, was still taped slightly crooked. It made Ava's throat tighten. She wasn't supposed to be here. She wasn't supposed to need this. She had her name on tower seats at boardrooms, and more than one penthouse filled with silence. But none of it had ever felt like this. None of it had ever felt like home. The door clicked open. Noah stepped inside, shrugging off the wind with a soft smile. Emma made me promise to bring you back a sticker, he said, holding up a wrinkled star with googly eyes. It's apparently how we claim people now. Ava chuckled and took it gently, pressing it to the back of her phone. Consider me claimed. He watched her for a long moment, then asked quietly, You okay? She looked around the apartment again, the messy couch, the mug in her hands, the space too small for lies. I need to tell you something. Noah's brow furrowed. He stepped closer, cautious. She took a breath. When I first asked you to work for me, it was because I needed someone who wouldn't ask questions. Someone discreet, professional, detached. He nodded slowly. But now she said, voice catching, I don't want that. I don't want an assistant. Or an employee. I don't even want a contract. His expression was unreadable. She paused, trying to find the courage. I want to eat cold pancakes on the floor. I want to hear Emma laugh from the next room. I want to stop watching life through glass windows and start living it with people who make me feel real. She met his eyes. I want a family, Noah. Not a staff. He didn't answer right away. But after a beat, he stepped forward, placing one warm hand over hers. You've had one this whole time, he said gently. And in that quiet moment, no cameras, no contracts, no expectations, Ava finally let herself believe it. This wasn't about duty anymore. It was about choosing love, and this time she chose it first.